So, nearing the end of high school, after 4th edition Dungeons and Dragons was released, and we were still waiting on them to make more core rule books, role-playing books, and uh, there was just a slight game mechanic where it just sort of fell to like all the fun was happening on 4th edition now, and there were just slight changes, but not every change was good. Like the items that increased your power had a level prerequisites, so that you would have to already be a certain level in order to use a certain item, and it was just like things like that, and then also it was just things like that added up. And eventually we realized, hey, why don't we just try and make our own game and entertain each other? So we just started making up rules to imagine ourselves as basically mutants or deities in hiding, or whatever sort of description you can come up with for how your mind and your imagination can suspend your disbelief in order to have a superpower or special ability. And basically, I just started them off in high school still, because that's the only superhero you would actually want to learn about is if they were in high school still, because if you're in college, you're already sort of too old for storytelling, comics, video games, movies. Your entire concern in college is to get married and have children and never do anything fun again, because you're just going to be slaving for those children so that you can afford them to go to a school and get put into a stationary position where up until the age of 18, just between 17 and 18, you spend like $400 on your child's entertainment, and then you're just like, well, now you're just off to make a child yourself, so then when they're between the ages of 17 and 18, you can spend like $400 on their entertainment, and then after that, we just all don't have fun, and we just reproduce for no reason, so we just put stress on everyone else that was fine being themselves. And so everyone's in high school, and basically some like terrorist or a hitman, soldiers of fortune, mercenaries, bank robbers, they attack the school, and it's a school shooting in progress, and everyone gets pushed up against the wall by the school shooters, and school shooters are moving their classmates around, and telling them to do stuff because everyone's just a sheep, and they're just cattle, and they have no way of fighting back against the people that were just willing to pick up firearms. So there was firearms just floating around in society. Everyone had one at their house that they were just born into, or you could just pick one up at the grocery store. And so then there's like a blackout and a flash, and then everyone, it doesn't matter who has the firearms, because now some people, their senses and agility and coordination are so much better than the person with the firearm that they just disarm the person. Now they have the firearm, and then it's just a shootout, and somehow some guy can shoot lightning, and another one can turn into mist and move really quick like a comet, and then maybe one person can stop time and just move around while everyone else is frozen, and or maybe one person just felt that they had the need to speak and said words at all because no one else was talking, and so there was like a bubble around the school where they couldn't leave, and there was no physical barrier. There was just some sort of magical bubble that made them prisoners in the school. And eventually they broke out of that bubble and had to deal with the police because they realized that the police were actually not there for them, but that the police were actually already against them. And then they were captured by corporations, and they had to break out of the corporation's asylums twice because the corporation had captured them and convinced them that they were insane throughout their entire existence, and that only the corporation was right, and that everything they did for the corporation, or else they would have their head exploded. And so, they're just slaves to the corporation, and then the corporation sends them over to drug lords, and then they have to do everything for the corporations, and the corporations are having them work with drug lords, and then after they deal with the drug lords, they have to go to Los Angeles, and they go to Los Angeles and try and save like 50,000 people that they didn't meet in a stadium, and there's a cult, and there's like 50,000 people's lives in danger because of a cult in a stadium, and then there's like a giant dinosaur or dinosaur-sized thing, and it has horns, and there's like a nuclear blast of frost, which freezes everything and causes winter for no reason. And so the drug lords were on fire for some reason, or they could shoot fire, but fire was involved somehow. There was fire involved in the drug use, which didn't make any sense at all for human beings to just be walking around with fire. And then with the celebrities and their venom, they had venom instead of fire. And they were even worse than the drug lords. I meant in Los Angeles. Los Angeles actually turned out to be taken over by aliens from a dark world. And the aliens were trying to fill the heroes with their venom so that they could be part of their cult of aliens. And after that was just zombies. They finally decided that they were just going to be the corporation's pawns, and the corporations sent them back to their home state, where they had to deal with zombies and drug lords inside of schools. And the drug lords had just barricaded themselves inside the school system, and were just controlling zombies. And then once they got involved with these new zombie drug lords, they realized, well, why not just try and play both sides and play the zombie drug lords off against the corporations? So they're trying to do that, and both sides are attacking each other. And some guy's attaching a car battery to his nipples, and things couldn't really get any better at that. Then there was another frost storm. This one was more like a hurricane, except this time there were wolf people. And these wolf people were from an ice world that was attacked by fire, and they were drawn here for frost to fight fire. The wolves would fight the undead burning beings, and they got involved in that. And then after that, they were captured by some famous old person who convinced them to just sit down and drink poison, just because he asked them to. He told them it was the antidote to the poison that they already got infected by, and from the radiation. And once he had them all believing in radiation, he got them to drink the antidote for the radiation, and then they all passed out, and then they all woke up in an asylum again. And this time they couldn't use any power or ability, and they were just completely useless with muzzles on and straitjackets in an asylum until their other friend broke into the asylum and killed everyone that was keeping them down. And then somehow a temporal storm broke out, and they woke up in the